Mic check, 1, 2, 3. Mic check, 1, 2, 3.
How you doing? Good. Well, we got that out of the way. Anybody else? No, I appreciate that, yeah. One responsive counselor, yeah. Very good. So we have a quorum, and let's just go around for those who are watching the screen. An exciting day ahead, I'm sure. We have Councillor Spadafora who's here, Councillor Pauls, Councillor Wilson, Councillor T.J. Jackson, Councillor Kazar, Councillor Francis, Councillor Tammy Huang, who said good morning to everybody, Councillor Taddison, Councillor Kretsch, and Councillor Wilson. And we have Councillors Beatty and Clark on screen. Welcome, gentlemen. You can hear us okay? Okay, great, good. So we're live. Kirk Trenham, could you confirm? Well, we've done that. Quorum is present. Good morning. Let's stand for the national anthem, please. Okay, thank you. Please be seated here. Okay. The city of Hamilton is situated upon the traditional territories of the Erie, Neutral, Huron-Wendat, Haudenosaunee, and Mississaugas. The land is covered by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant. We further acknowledge that this land is also covered by the Between the Lakes Purchase of 1792 between the Crown and the Mississaugas of the First Nation. Today, the city of Hamilton is home to many Indigenous peoples from across Turtle Island. With that said, members are reminded that all electronic devices are to be switched to a non-audible function during council meetings. So done. We need to move to approval of the agenda. Are there any amendments to the agenda? Councillor Pauls.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I was just wondering if we could move AFNA 7.6, minutes of the Audit, Finance, and Administration Committee, to the first committee. And the reason is I have an important meeting at 11:30 to 12:30, and I need to attend, and I want to be able to be here to vote on a few things. So thank you. I hope I could have your support. Thank you, Councillor Wilson. Seconded.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any discussion? Show of hands, all those in favor? Okay.
Thank you, colleagues. Thank you very much.
Are there any declarations of interest? Yes. Tammy. Sorry, Councillor Wang.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I do have two declarations of interest. This is for item 7.3. The first is for item 7.3 in the Public Works agenda. Inside that agenda is item 9.4, which is on the recycling. I have a disqualifying interest as my small business resides in a business improvement area and could benefit from the outcome of the vote. My second item is for 7.4 in the Planning Committee minutes. It is inside of that is item 8.2, which is the public hearing on 64 Hat Street. It is a non-disqualifying interest, as when this public hearing happened in 2023, my business partner was the owner of this building. However, now that we're in 2025, he is no longer the owner, but I still wanted to have public transparency. So that is a non-disqualifying interest.
So the
Thank you.
first is disqualifying, and the
Yes.
second, is so with the first, you'll note to abstain when that item comes up.
Yes.
Very
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you, Councillor. We have a couple of ceremonial activities. Staff commendation for Operator Mike Farrell and Inspector Jared Malley. Marnie Clucky will be speaking to this item, and the individuals and city manager will then come to the podium for a picture. Marnie, you're on.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, City Manager Marnie Clucky. Mayor and members of, or Deputy Mayor and members of Council, today it is my privilege to recognize two outstanding members of the Public Works team at Hamilton Street Railway. There's Operator Mike Farrow and Inspector Jared Maley. And this is for their remarkable act of compassion and professionalism that reunited a family. In the early morning hours of June 11th, Operator Farrow noticed a young person alone in the bus shelter at Limeridge Mall. And instead of continuing along his route, he stopped to ask if she needed help and immediately notified HSR Control. Inspector Maley responded, and after speaking with her and connecting with Hamilton Police Service, it was confirmed that this young person was a 15-year-old who had been reported missing since the previous Friday. Police were notified and met HSR staff and this young person at Limeridge Mall, and thanks to Mike and Jared's attention and their thoughtful actions, she was returned safely to her family. This event reminds us of the vital role our frontline transit staff play in protecting, helping, and connecting people in more ways than we often realize. Mike, who has been with the HSR since 2017, and Jared, who started as an operator in 2013 and then became an inspector in 2021, both demonstrate the kind of care and commitment to public service that we value across our organization and our community. So on behalf of my team and council and the whole of the Hamilton community, thank you, Mike and Jared, for your outstanding service. You are a powerful example of how the work we do at the City of Hamilton can profoundly impact someone's life.
What a lovely story. I invite Mike and Jared to come to the front and take a step with our city manager. Good. And I didn't do anything. Bravo. We now have a check presentation, and no one other than Councillor Pauls. We're going to invite her up, our horseshoe athlete who does all kinds of things. This has to do with the Fengate Community Foundation's donation to the revitalization of TB McQuestion Park's basketball courts. Councillor Pauls, why don't you say a few words and bring us up to speed about what's going on here?
Thank you, and I would love to say a few words. First of all, Mike and Jared, if they're here, you guys are heroes. I think it's great. But this is a great day. You know why it's great? When community come together and help each other to make Hamilton a better place to be at. So I want to let you know that we are upgrading of the basketball court at TB McQuestion Park. It's a gift to everyone, and it's not only Ward 7. For all for all to enjoy, especially our young people where we need it. We need our young people involved in sports, music, arts. We need our young people. And as you know, with what's happening, sometimes young people have nothing to do. So this is important to me. And so I just want to thank Gate Community Foundation for $50,000 check. Yes, 50,000, and it's going toward new asphalt, new acrylic surface, upgrading the fencing, and upgrading seating. I love that. You know why? Then we'll get more young people sitting there looking and cheering. That's what we need. It's a complete overhaul within next year. I want this done next year. It's going to be done. But I also want to recognize Kyle Scott of Trias Asphalt, who is resurfacing and leveling the court in time for the 4th annual Wentworth District 3x3 Championship, Labor Day weekend, August 29th and 31st. So we're making it a little bit better, and next year we're going to revamp it all. And I look at Cynthia Graham. I would really want to thank you because you helped me put this together. It was really hard, and then Cynthia got involved, and it happened. So Cynthia, from my heart, thank you. I really appreciate it. I want to tell you, 6 different countries bringing basketball athletes to our TB McQuestion Park this August 29, 31st. 6 different countries. These athletes will compete for, you know what? They will compete for $50,000. Somebody donated the $15,000. So they'll be competing for that. And I see him in the audience. I want David Finley, the event amazing organizer. You're here with your beautiful wife. We'll ask you to join us down here and say a few moments. But first, I want you to see a promotional video, and the clerk will play it for us. And then, David, you come down. So let's look at the promotional video, what's going to happen in Ward 7.
What's going on, Hamilton? My name's Dave Finley, founder of the Game Breakers in the Wentworth District 3x3 Championship, happening right here at the beautiful TB McQuestion Park. This year is going to be absolutely special. We got teams coming from Uganda, Mexico, Trinidad, Jamaica, USA, and all over Canada to compete for $50,000. Oh, and that's not all. And all of our players are staying at the Sea Hotel by Carmen's, one of Hamilton's nicest hotels right here on the mountain down the street from the park. Best part is they're providing all the players with a beautiful breakfast and lunch. And that's not all. We are excited to announce our partnership with Mohawk College Esports Administration Program and Incendium Gaming to put on a $10,000 Street Fighter 6 tournament right here at Mohawk College Esports Lab. So everybody, August 29th to the 31st, you get your way to the WD 3x3 Championship 2025 happening right here in Hamilton. Let's go.
Isn't that exciting? Come on, everybody, get excited. When good things happen in Hamilton, we need to shout it on the mountaintop. We do, because this is what Hamilton should be. This, honestly, when I was approached last year, I didn't know much about it, but this year I said I'm going to take it on because it's important. It's important for our young people, Hamilton. So at this time, though, I would like to welcome David come down, but I also would like to invite Kendra, Cameron Serafini, who are here on behalf of their father, Lou Serafini Jr., and the whole Fangate Community Foundation team. And we will take some picture. But look at these beautiful girls. Oh, I do not know Lou well, but I want to get to know him. All right, you tell him that. Look at the beautiful girls, and David, you can come and say a few words before we take picture, and you're always welcome to say a few words, but it's up to you. So, and beautiful wife, too. God bless you. Okay.
Hello, City Council. It's my first time here, so I just want to say thank you to everybody. This is a very important project for me. I don't know if anybody's heard the backstory of the project at all. I grew up at 470 Wentworth Stonechurch Road East. It's right on the corner of Wentworth and Stonechurch, and the park was right down the street from my house. I lived in a Fengate complex as a low-income housing unit, and it's just my mom and the 4 boys. So I remember when that park was built, and it was just a hub for the community. I've watched it over the years kind of deteriorate, and nobody really goes over there anymore. So this is really, really important for me, and it's kind of like a full circle moment. I want to thank everybody who voted for this, and I want to thank Esther Pauls, of course. She's amazing. She's just a bright light in our life right now, and she's helping push the initiative, and I really can't thank her enough for that. Zora, for all your work that she's been doing behind the scenes, helping Esther as well. I want to thank the Serafini sisters, daughters. They're amazing. Fengate Community Foundation has stood tall for the event and for this community project as well. So it's just very important that we highlight these people and give them their flowers, because without them, important community projects like this don't happen. So I want to say thank you to everybody, and I'm very excited for this summer.
Very good, thank you. Did you hear that? A single mother with 4 children. Did you hear that? I know his story. And at one time, well, you got to hear his story. It's amazing and what he's accomplished. So thank you. Girls, you want to say something, or it's up to you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you're beautiful.
Thanks. Yeah, this is an exciting opportunity. We're very grateful for the partnership with David and, part of the Fengate family. My grandfather immigrated from Italy to Hamilton, Ontario, and it's just full circle hearing David's story that he lived in one of our affordable housing units with his family, and now we're working here together on this exciting partnership. So we're very thrilled and excited and can't wait to see it.
Thank you. Okay. We're going to take now pictures, and you know what? Honest from my heart, I am so happy today. I am so happy because I know the background, I know the story, and that's what I want for Hamilton. That's what I want for our young people, okay? That's what I want. So let's work together and make this happen. Thank you. I'm going to take pictures. Hey, Deputy Mayor, get in here. You're going to vote yes when I put a motion.
Wouldn't dare vote otherwise. Thank you all very much.
Okay, and I'll get a few as well.
Okay.
All right, we'll count to 3 so nobody blinks. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. One more.
Everyone's here in that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, girls. Thank you, girls. Thank you.
I get the feeling our work here today is done. They say enthusiasm's contagious, and that's thank you, Councillor Pauls, and thank you, David, and your team. Great, good going. Thank you. Okay. Approval of the minutes of the previous meeting, items 5.2 and 5.3. May I have a motion to approve minutes of the June 18th, 2025 and June 25th, 2025 meetings as presented? Moved by Councillor Kazar, seconded by Councillor Wang. Is there any discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, we'll have a show of hands. Please indicate your vote. That is carried without dissenting vote. Okay, items for information. Written submissions respecting the June 25th, 2025 Planning Committee meetings, items 6.1A and 6.1X. 6.2, City of Hamilton Integrity Commissioner's Report regarding citation complaint, Councillor Spadafora. And 6.3, memorandum respecting minute item 8.2 of July 9th, 2025 General Issues Committee minutes report, PED 25148 Art Gallery of Hamilton. And item 6.4, memorandum respecting minute item 9.2 of the July 7th, 2025 Public Works Committee Minutes Report, PW 25047, Sherman Cut, Steel Wall Replacement and Road Resurfacing, request for additional funding, wards 3 and 4. May I have a motion to receive the information items? Councillor Wilson, Alex? Councillor Wang? Is there any discussion on the information items? Okay, seeing none. Yes?
Councillor Clark.
Councillor Clark, sorry, Councillor. Councillor Clark, go ahead. Having a sound
Apologies,
problem.
Councillor, we can't hear you again. Can we try perhaps without the headset?
It's like Cogeco TV, stand by.
Yes. Sorry, Councillor, we still can't hear you.
We'll be back on in a moment.
Okay. Deputy Mayor, perhaps we can see if anybody else would like to speak to any of the items at the moment, and we'll see if we can resolve the issue.
Yeah, okay. Is there anybody else wants to speak to any other item? Does not appear to be the case. Why don't we just wait a moment then until Councillor Clark reconnects? No? Okay, so we'll call the question then. Show of hands, all those in favor? Carried. Okay. Councillor Kretsch, may I please have a motion to receive the Hamilton Utility
Sorry,
School?
Deputy Mayor, apologies. We just amended our agenda to move the AFNA minutes to be
Oh,
the
that's
first of
right.
the
Okay,
committee
well,
minutes.
let's do that first then. We'll do that. Are there any speakers to this item? I'm going to move it. Yep.
We'll just get a motion to put the AFNA minutes on the floor. So
Yes.
we'll move to item 7.6.
Moved by Paul, seconded by...
No, I got it, Councillor. It's moved by myself and seconded by Vice Chair Councillor Jeff Beattie that AFNA 25-009 be in the minutes of the Audit, Finance and Administration Committee meeting held on Thursday, July 10th, be received and the recommendations contained therein be approved, and that the following correspondence item be received. Correspondence from Sonia Montressard respecting minute item 8.4, report FCS 25025, alternate voting methods and vote tabulation technology for city elections and by-elections, item 7.6A.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. We have a speakers list. Councillor Wang. Maybe not. It says you are here, but that's okay.
We have Councillor Kretsch first, I believe.
Councillor Kretsch then. Right. Go ahead, Councillor.
Thanks. On item 8.4, I'd like to move an amendment to have the online voting portion brought back in and voted on today. I talked to the clerk about it, and that's the procedural way to deal with this in the fact because it was defeated. So I need a seconder for my amendment to vote on it again. I see Councillor Huang. I'm going to second it, and then I want to speak to it and ask some questions to the city clerk.
Okay.
Now it's duly on the floor.
So you're moving the alternative action.
I'm doing what the clerk told me to do, which was to move an amendment to bring that up for a vote. Usually we do before in the past when there were reports, not minutes, we used to lift things. Now that they're minutes, it happens in a different manner. If anyone has questions for the clerk, he's here.
So we're having an uplifting experience here. Okay, fair enough. Councillor Jackson.
Point of order, please, Deputy Mayor. So I just want to be clear then, in light of the new procedures our new city clerk has brought in the past year. So what Councillor Kretsch is moving, will that be right into the debate of online voting? Or is there a step before that like we used to have? I just want to be crystal clear, as I'm still after a year learning the new rules. Deputy Mayor.
Clerk.
So through you, Deputy Mayor, essentially the entire minutes are on the floor as they were approved at AFNA. What Councillor Crutch is moving is an amendment to add online voting. So the only thing on the floor for discussion right now is online voting.
And thank you, City Clerk Trenum. And then we would vote yay or nay to his amendment, correct?
That's correct. If it passes, then you would consider everything else as happened at AFNA as amended. If it were to fail, then you just go back to what was approved at AFNA.
Thank you, City Clerk.
It's just a simple amendment.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor.
Thanks. I think I have the floor to speak to the amendment.
Yep.
So I have some questions and some comments. Questions are for the city clerk on this. Not everybody was at the AFNA meeting, and so I thought it was worthwhile to have some of that discussion here again, unfortunately. So there was a big discussion there about the security of in-person voting versus the security of online voting. And I'm not sure to the extent every one of my colleagues is familiar with the process, but we're going to go through it. Do people need a voter's card to vote in person at a polling station?
Through you, Deputy Mayor, they do not.
Do people need ID to vote at a polling station in person?
Through you, Deputy Mayor, they do not.
Thank you. I think that's probably information that not everybody was aware of, but what I wanted to do was ask you if you could explain the process by which at a polling station someone can present themselves without ID, like what goes on there. I know what the process is. There's an affirmation that they have to swear, but could you tell people, since I'm seeing people are shocked to learn this?
So through you, Deputy Mayor, this has always been the scenario. There's a form. You have to make a declaration. You swear an oath before a commissioner, which is assigned by the Deputy Returning Officer. It does not happen very often. It is possible.
Thank you very much. This happened in Ward 2 a few times, as our scrutineers noticed during the election last time and the time before. It's a regular process put forward by the province of Ontario and has been in place forever. Now, could you talk to us about how someone registers to vote online and then registers to vote?
So through you, Deputy Mayor, that one's a little more complicated. There's two scenarios there. First, you need to be registered to vote. So you need to join the voters list. Two different ways to do that. Up until the city receives the preliminary electors list, so the list of electors, you must do so through Elections Ontario. There's a portal, you go in, you enter your information, you're registered to vote. You can amend it. Everybody should become very familiar with this process as we move up to the election and through this current by-election. You actually have to do it two ways, though, if you also want to confirm your school support, so whether that is Catholic or public school support or French, you must do that through the MPAC site. It all directs you how to do it. Once we receive the preliminary electors list, you can be added to the electors list by showing up at a poll or by through city election staff at one of our pre-events or just coming to City Hall. So that's just to get on the list. Once you're on the list, if online voting were available through our vendor, you would have the ability to register to vote. You do so by entering your email. You have to then go to your email and confirm it, set up two-factor authentication, go in and set up your account. Once you have an account, now you have to register to vote. To register to vote, you fill out the application, enter in 2 copies of ID, 2 separate pieces of ID. Those get submitted, and then the clerk's office elections team staff have to go in and verify. They compare against the electors list and delete any duplicates, because sometimes people, oh, my computer crashed, and they try to register again. So there might be, you can see there's a second attempt. You delete the blank attempt, and you have to then verify the original with the appropriate ID. You have the ability to reject it, or you have the ability to approve it.
Thank you very much. So to summarize, you're required when online voting, as you're not at a polling station, to register to be on the voters list in advance, to be in direct contact with city staff who make sure that you're eligible to vote, and you must provide ID in order to vote as part of an online voting system. 2 last questions, then I'm done talking. Will you be vetting this through city staff's IT department before implementing it to make sure that it's secure?
So through you, Deputy Mayor, whether it is online voting or just our voter strike-off software, we'll be utilizing our IT staff. We have a project manager assigned to it who is connecting us with the rest of IT security staff to make sure that we are testing. I believe there are plans to activate any third-party testing, so we bring in somebody to confirm the authenticity and the acceptability of the software before we proceed.
Great, and for those who weren't at AFNA, I'll briefly state that the city clerk also said at that time that things went very smoothly in the Ward 4 trustee by-election, and there were no anomalies, reports of problems, or issues with respect to fraud or other kinds of things, and that if we did this for the Ward 8 by-election, the city clerk would report back to us if there were any issues that related to fraud or any other kinds of problems with respect to online voting. So I hope that this is helpful, because right now we've heard a lot of misinformation on the subject, like a real lot of misinformation on the subject. Are there risks to online voting? Yes. The risks to in-person voting are greater than the risks to online voting, as is obvious from the commentary today. So I just want to state that there are more balances and checks for a municipally led online voting system than a provincially run in-person voting system. I think our choice is pretty clear. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Jackson.
Amazing. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Through you to the city clerk, does online voting increase the turnout?
Through you, Deputy Mayor, it does not.
So, Deputy Mayor, by the way, I am shocked what I've learned today, that in the future, I don't need to show up in 2026, whether I'm running or not, just as a voter. I don't need to show up with my voter card, with any ID. I can just walk in, tell them, here's my name, and I want to vote. Please put me on the list. Boy, DROs in the past have been very diligent and meticulous about asking me, seeing my voter card, seeing a form of ID, whether driver's license, health card, whatever the case might be. Now, I don't need any of that. And in the recent federal and provincial elections, I had to bring my voter card and make sure I brought some ID, because the DROs at the front made sure and asked me, and then they pointed me in the right direction where to go to vote. Okay, back to my points here to counter what the Ward 2 councillor has said glowingly about online voting. We've just been through a $50 million plus cyber attack in our city. Are we serious? We want to risk online voting at a time we've just been through spending over $50 million of taxpayer money due to a cyber attack? Secondly, why don't the feds and province have online voting? Two senior levels of government. They've decided, and they're above us in terms of the pecking order, if you will, federal, provincial, municipal, and they don't implement online voting. And we've just learned the city clerk Trenum saying that it does not increase the voter turnout. Folks, I want the mid-30s that we typically get in Hamilton. I want that to increase. I want people to vote, regardless of what the result is. For me or anybody else, I just want to increase. I was shocked that it took the committee, Chairman Councillor Spatafora's AFNA committee, to put mail-in ballots back in the hopper so that that would be available. I was shocked that through the city clerk's department, that was not a recommendation to have mail-in ballots. We can improve upon mail-in ballots, because I heard enough frustration last election from a number of my constituents who left early to go out of country but wanted to get their mail-in ballot in early. So we can do some improvements upon mail-in ballots. So I'm glad committee, it looked like unanimously, has recommended mail-in ballots for today. But folks, I want members of council colleagues, I want more advanced voting opportunities. I want to, if we can set up special advanced voting at our three main post-secondary institutions, Redeemer, McMaster, Mohawk, get the young people voting. Special advanced polls for seniors and our senior housing complexes, where any form of inclement weather on election day, they won't be able to get out. Let's make more opportunities that way. I'm strongly supportive of that. But online voting at a time of the cyber attack, feds and province don't do it, and there's no data showing it increases the voter turnout. I'm strongly against this amendment. Thanks, Deputy Mayor McMeekin.
Councillor Clark.
Deputy Mayor, I'm trying to use my computer rather than my headset. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yay, for one thing. So can I just get a little bit more clarification? I think what I heard the clerk say is that anybody can go to a polling station and say, my name is John Smith, I live here, add me to the roll call, without providing any identification or mailing documents that show that that's where they live.
So through you, Deputy Mayor, to the councillor, yes, we always ask for ID. We ask people to confirm that information.
I'm sorry, can you say that one more time? Because that's not what we heard just a few moments ago.
We always ask for ID. However, an individual could present and say they have no ID, and then they can ask to be added to the list, and they have to sign an oath, essentially, that advises, yes, I live at this address, confirming what it is, and we can accept that. They are then added to the list, but they don't receive the full ballot. They would receive just the singular race for that particular ballot, so they can't for school board or any of the other pieces to the race. So it's a slightly different ballot, but absolutely they can still vote.
So we've been doing it wrong all these years then? Because our polling stations ask for ID. They ask you to come with a bank statement, a gas statement, anything that verifies that you live at that address. So we've been doing it wrong. You can put anyone on the list anytime without verifying that they live there or that that's who they are. Is that what I'm hearing?
So through you, Deputy Mayor, no, I wouldn't say that. This has always been an option. It's always been available, and we will continue to ask for ID when people arrive at all of the polls to confirm that they are living where they do. However, if somebody declares that they do not have ID, they can sign the declaration. It's available in every municipality. The form comes from the ministry, and it's something that's been available in every election.
And how many declarations were made in the last election?
I don't have those numbers through you, Deputy Mayor. I can certainly obtain that. Let me rephrase. I can see if that information is available. From my own personal experience in 2 previous elections, I've had one individual.
So it's a bit of spin to say that anybody can do that, and it's happening all the time, and it's valid. So let's get on with what is truly the process. You need to verify who you are when you walk through the door, so that they cross you off the list so that people don't vote twice. That's been the process forever in Hamilton. Can I ask if we were to do strike-off balloting or online balloting, and there is a recount because of a close election, how do they verify the authenticity of what the online voting is saying?
So there are 2 ways. Every online vote gets put onto an audit report, and that audit report has an individualized code that can be checked with the back-end system. However, additionally, with this election and with the previous by-election, we have the ability to do online to paper. So what would happen is an online ballot is cast, it immediately prints that ballot directly into a ballot box, after which is sealed and then delivered to the clerk's office. So we can also have staff on site to collect it ourselves. That particular ballot box could then be used in the situation of a recount.
I appreciate that, but how do you verify that the software is reporting accurately what the vote was?
So through you, Deputy Mayor, without being very technical myself, I can advise that it goes through extensive testing, both ahead of time with fake ballots, with fake names, with confirming variability. The audit request goes through the codes that are submitted and created that are assigned to each cast ballot, and then those can then be compared to the vote that was cast without identifying the individual. It creates these auditable reports that can confirm whether a ballot has gone through. There are certainly circumstances where perhaps a system crashes and somebody doesn't get an opportunity to hit submit, and you can verify that by looking at timestamps of when somebody tried to submit a vote and compare that to whether or not it was issued one of these unique identifiers as a code to confirm that a ballot was cast. Again, if a ballot is cast, it will print a ballot, and that can be compared in terms of results.
But again, we cannot audit the inner working of the software.
So we do have the ability to audit software.
How?
I can't speak to that. I don't have the technical experts with me.
See, here's the challenge for me, Deputy Mayor. Elections are not just about getting people out to vote. Elections are about having an evidence-based process so that the public has trust in the vote. If the public loses trust in the vote or the process, then voting goes down. And so it's imperative that we have an evidence-based process so that people know very clearly this is how the vote occurred. With paper ballots or tabulation systems that we have all those ballots. So if the tabulator goes amok and enters the wrong information, when there's a recount, you are counting the paper and not what the tabulator is saying. We don't have that in online voting. It goes into the ether. It's a part of the software. And we've experienced some really challenging issues with cybercrime in this city. So I'm not comfortable with the online voting. As I indicated at the AFNA meeting, I've been a part of an election where the vote was so tight that it actually swung after a recount. But everybody was comfortable because we had the ballots. We could actually see a ballot with a DRO signature on the back of it and count them. This system does not allow for this. There's a reason why the province hasn't standardized it. There's a reason why the feds are not using it. And there's still that lack of trust in the system. So I can't support the motion to include it. And I could go on, but I think I've said more than enough this morning, and I can see some nodding heads, so thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Francis.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And having risks to one way of voting is not an excuse to bring in more risks. My questions to the clerk, is it, and I asked this, I'm not a part of the committee, but I showed up to that committee because I feel very strongly about this based on the information that we know. But is it an impossibility for an individual to coerce a voter to vote with an iPad or a smartphone with no supervision? Through you, Chair.
So through you, Deputy Mayor, I'd say nothing is an impossibility. Certainly, it is exceptionally difficult given the timelines associated with registering. I would say that same issue exists with mail-in ballots.
You know, there's one place where there's more checks and balances than others, and that's in person at a polling location where you can guarantee there's no coercion because you're standing there in a ballot box by yourself with scrutineers, with supervisors. There's no way to coerce somebody in that booth. This council knows full well the risks associated with the cybersecurity that we've just gone through in this city and is informed enough to know that this is a very bad idea. This council is far too informed on cybersecurity to take such an unnecessary risk. And really, it's irresponsible. And with this information that we're privy to here, I am so strongly opposed to this idea. I'll be opposing even lifting this item when we get to it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I finish?
Yes, of course.
It's on the floor to be lifted, to be voted on again.
The amendment is on the floor now, Deputy Mayor, so it's already been lifted and...
Understood. I'll be opposing it strongly. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Alex Wilson.
Thank you. In the 2021 federal election, I just moved. My lease was a COVID lease. It was signed on the back of my, I have an email of it, signature illegible, definitely not up to snuff to use to prove address. Hydro bills weren't in my name. I voted via voucher. I had a neighbor say, yep, I know Alex in community. This is where they live. This is the story, and had a friend help. in every municipal election and every election, I vote a different way. I'm never on the voters list. I move around. I'm a renter. I've tried them all at this point. It's good that there are different options for different people, because even when you don't expect to be in that circumstance where, hey, you're in a global pandemic, your ID's expired, et cetera, your lease doesn't prove your address, you just moved before the election, bills aren't in your name yet, whatever the circumstance is, it's good to have options that make it easier for folks to do something that we've all agreed, that we're unanimous on. That is really vitally important, casting a ballot. I also really want to underscore the importance of building trust and confidence through evidence-based decision-making. I think it's really important that regardless of the decision we make here today, we're able to explain to constituents why we made the vote we did. And so, as someone who will be voting in favor of further exploration of online voting for the next Hamilton election, I know why I'm doing that. I'm doing that because in the last municipal election, I was out on Highway 5. It was 8:30 a.m., too early to be doing something useful on election day. So just trying to catch the people you can, and actually bumped into a lot of folks from Burlington who had already cast their ballots, who were excited to go about their day. They were seniors. And they go, oh, I love that I don't have to get in the hustle of lines. I'm not worried about this anymore. This was the easiest vote I've ever had. I can't wait to tell my friends about this. That's what you want to hear, is that folks didn't have barriers to voting. Conversely, when I talk to my grandparents who are getting older, in their late 80s, early 90s, about their voting experience in Kitchener-Waterloo, oh my goodness. It's not a great story. Well, the library is not accessible. We had to wait for so long. There's no chairs. Where's the accessible parking? They do it every single year. They're not going to miss an election. They feel it's their responsibility to do so. But it's getting harder and harder every year. I think about contrasting those two experiences and then being able to say, okay, so why not? Why shouldn't we make it easier for folks to vote? Oh, well, there are risks. Okay. What are those risks? How do we mitigate them? Well, there are risks that someone could register to vote who's not there. I think we've explored not through saying, oh, well, the bar is here already, so this is where the bar should be, but we've explored that actually the bar is much higher with online voting than any other way to vote. I think that's the purpose of that comparison, is not to say that it's immune, but to say that any single method of casting a ballot, every single method of casting a ballot has its own risks. So what are we going to do to mitigate those risks? I don't think, however we come to that decision, however we decide, what risks are worth having, how are we going to mitigate them, I definitely don't believe that saying, oh, well, because the internet's scary, we had a cyber attack, we can't be trusted. Please don't build trust and confidence. We have to be able to say, these are the risks, and I don't trust our mitigation plan because X, Y, Z, or I do trust that we can mitigate these risks through this. But I certainly don't think saying, well, we know that the internet can't be trusted in 2025, as someone who's very skeptical about the internet, is actually a useful or helpful argument when we're trying to actually build trust in this process. So through you, Deputy Mayor, I'm very supportive of getting a further analysis from our IT team, getting a further analysis from our colleague about what actual operating procedures could be put in place to bring this forward. But as we're having the debate, I just ask that we echo something that we've all kept saying, is the importance of ensuring people have that ability to vote, protecting that ability to vote, and making sure that we're building trust through this conversation, not just our outcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Nan.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just a couple of questions before comments. If I could, through you, get some confirmation that I thought I heard Clerk Trenum say very clearly that ID is not required to vote at polling stations currently, but in the summary of the dialogue among my colleagues, it's been stated otherwise. So if I could just get final confirmation about the requirement of ID in physical polling locations.
So through you, Deputy Mayor, when you show up at a polling station, you do not need a voter card. In fact, individuals will not be receiving individualized voter cards in the upcoming elections. It'll be residential only, advising of where you can vote, how you can vote, and where you can get more information. An individual will show up and we will always ask for ID and confirm they are on the voters list. If they have ID, we will add them if they're not on the voters list or issue a ballot if they are. If they identify that they do not have ID, they have the ability to swear the oath and be issued a ballot that way.
Yeah, thank you. And in providing civic education and voter education in multiple municipal elections, not only here in Hamilton, but also in Hamilton, three elections that I've had the opportunity to participate in voter education, not only as a candidate, but also as an engaged citizen. We made it really clear to voters at the doors, these are the mechanisms, these are the things that you need. If you do not have photo ID, these are the documents that will help you, but it is not legally a requirement. Since 1975 in the province of Ontario. That's older than me. And I'm a Gen Xer and I get it. Change is hard to accept, but there are things that are in place that are irrefutable. So it is not a requirement to have photo ID. It is an option to provide it. All right, so clear. Next question is, if I could, Deputy Mayor, through you, get clarity on what does e-voting provide in terms of increased accessibility? There was a question earlier about does e-voting increase voter turnout? And I'm not so concerned with that. I am much more concerned with the participation and equal participation in democracy through voting and what the role of e-voting enables from an accessibility perspective.
So through you, Deputy Mayor, what the statistics show and what we saw through our by-election, keeping in mind the sample size was quite small, but the research from other municipalities is that it does not increase voter turnout. It provides an additional option for voter turnout. And it does not seem to change the demographic of voters either. The demographic of voting online seems to match very closely with in-person, the biggest uptake being from the most likely voter, which is above 50. Usually in the, I believe it was 50 to 65 range was the highest likely to use online voting based on the statistics.
Oh, that's surprising, and I appreciate that. That's brings me more confidence as I age as a voter as well, in terms of my options as a voter as well. If I could also, Clerk, through you, Deputy Mayor, get clarity on accessibility from the perspective of disabilities. How does e-voting increase accessibility for those who might have a variety?
So the website is fully accessible from a AODA or Accessibility for Ontarians with Disability Act perspective, can be utilized by a screen reader, individuals who may experience color blindness, as well as the ability to offer it in multiple languages.
Thank you. Through you, Deputy Mayor, one of my biggest concerns after observing 3 elections here in the city of Hamilton was how inaccessible physically our voting locations have been. There has been a marked improvement, at least in Ward 3, since the 2018 election and the 2022 election, but there still remained physical barriers for voters to get into a voting location. And I'm sorry, but I find that completely unacceptable. It's unacceptable in a municipality that has the highest per capita number of people living with disabilities in the entire province of Ontario. It is unacceptable from the perspective of IDEA and the reality that we have an obligation as a corporation, not only as people who may be seeking candidacy for election, to ensure that our process for democracy at the City of Hamilton accommodates those with disabilities. And if the website is something that enables that, then we need to stop fear-mongering and instead enable participation. It's our obligation to address accessibility needs. And if there is an evidence-based tool that is being presented to us that deserves to be reviewed and brought back with clarity so that everybody can have that trust and confidence, then I'm sorry, I've heard very clearly, not only from our council representative to the Persons with Disability Advisory Committee, but we've heard very clearly from that committee on this issue. We've also heard very clearly from the Seniors Advisory Committee that they too believe that democracy and the act of voting needs to be made more accessible. We've also heard very clearly from our citizens who don't speak English as a first language that it is unacceptable to participate in the city of Hamilton, with the city of Hamilton, and that includes our election. Why? Why would we scoff in the face of that and not even look for the information to provide us the opportunity to build the trust and confidence with an evidence-based double authentication, what's it called? The two-factor authentication process that is much more rigorous online than it is in person to verify that you are an eligible and oath-taking voter in our municipal election. Deputy Mayor, I'm really concerned about the misinformation that continues to spread. I think we have an obligation to address that directly. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Pauls.
Thank you, and thank you, colleagues, for bringing this up, because I'm not part of the AFNA, and I wanted to just ask one question, and the question is, how much is it costing us to do this?
So through you, Deputy Mayor, the cost is negligible in the grand scheme of things because we have to purchase a software for voter strike-off in either capacity. The question will be is, can we use one that also offers online? Ultimately, the cost of a fully paper election will likely be more because we will print more ballots, we will have more availability, we will need to, it will likely cost a bit more.
Okay, so I wasn't at the meeting, but I just, we want to get more people to vote. We're trying to force people to vote. It's their duty, they should vote, but we're not here to say you have to vote. You know who gets people to vote? It's the candidate itself. When I go door to door, if there's an issue that they have, like disability, you know what I did? I went there and I brought a form where they could fill it out, and it was and I brought it to the clerk. So I did that. But I'm just saying, you, as a candidate, you go door to door. Last time I went 3 times indoors. 3 times. And I said, please vote, because if you vote, then you have a say. It's up to us to tell people the reason why you should vote. And we give them all the opportunity. So for me, I'm going to vote against this. I think we have a good system right now. I mean, if in the future we want to, consider it again, but at this time, I do not want to spend any money considering what's, our taxes are going to be this year. So I'm going to be voting no. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Pauls. Councillor Marie Wilson.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I've very much enjoyed this conversation, and I don't disagree with much of what folks have been putting on the table in terms of what has been guiding them and where they landed or are about to land. I think from my perspective, and respectfully, this is not on the clerk. I think this is a council responsibility. Context matters. Trust and confidence is the only currency governments have. And my concern was and is that this report was approached from an operational perspective and view, as opposed to what is it that we are hoping to achieve? What is our responsibility? What is our responsibility to pursue? What are the goals and objectives, and how do we get there? And to build that trust and confidence by reviewing publicly, having demonstrations about the technology. There are always going to be individuals who will feel uncomfortable and uncertain, perhaps, about technology for whatever reason. But it's just my opinion that we need to do more work, and I do think the cyber incident matters. It's not trying to inflame any issue. It is trying to inform the issue of what some members of our community are feeling, rightly or wrongly. We can't tell them that they're wrong. That's how they feel. We can only demonstrate steadily with evidence, surely with demonstrations and consultation, what is it we're trying to achieve? What are the best tools for us to achieve that? I would have wished we would have had greater conversation about polling stations. Issues like physical accessibility, I agree with my colleagues, absolutely unacceptable. Let's put that on as an operating principle to ensure that staff are fully informed and instructed that that is not acceptable. Let's talk about locations of polling stations. Let's talk about more about mail-in ballots. Let's talk about, I am, without casting any shade, I'm surprised that some of my colleagues did not know that you don't need ID. Let's talk about that opportunity for those, for whatever reason in their life, don't have ID at this moment, because voter turnout is important. And that's why I voted the way I did. Let's engage fully and with purpose with those who have physical or other limitations getting to a polling station. But let's take all those opportunities to say we believe that hovering on a less than 40% voter turnout is unacceptable. Let's look at all the ways and means in which we can pursue this. And I think that is our responsibility and that is our opportunity, and context matters. Thank you, Chair, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Beattie.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, and through you. I think I'm building off of a couple of themes of some of my colleagues who said it very eloquently. And I do appreciate the conversation, and I understand the importance of the issues regarding accessibility, regarding ease of use in terms of participating in our democracy. And I'm not going to go down a path of fear-mongering. I simply want to restate where I believe we are in this moment of time. In terms of faith in the institution, and in terms of the trust and confidence, to continue on the theme from the Ward 1 Councillor, the trust of confidence of our citizens. We know that 80% of our citizens do not have trust and confidence in City Hall. Our own report shows that. That's today, in this exact moment. An election, any election, requires trust and confidence. It is the bedrock of the institution. Other communities we've heard have moved ahead with this option. I wonder what their trust and confidence levels are like. I can almost guarantee you it's going to be better than 20%. I have no way of proving that, full disclosure. But I think you would be hard-pressed to find a rate of trust and confidence in the city institution that is lower than 20%. That's very low. And again, similar to the theme from my colleague from Ward 1, let's work on that first before we go down this road. If we can't retain the trust and confidence of our citizens now in this moment, I don't see us having the buy-in to be able to undertake this. Given that we're in a world of rampant misinformation, given that we're in a world of forces trying to break down confidence in our institutions, I don't see us having the buy-in in this moment of our citizens on this issue. I have confidence that we will get there, and I've expressed that I initially was supportive of the concept that we're discussing. I have faith that we'll get there eventually, but we're just not there now. And I believe our obligation is to restore that first. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Huang. Councillor Huang.
Thank you. I am thankful for this conversation. As I said in Audit, Finance, and Administration, the Ward 4 by-election did employ the online voting software that was used in New Vote. And so I encourage all of my council colleagues to go to our hamilton.ca website, sub-page municipal election, sub-page Hamilton Wentworth District School Board Ward 4 trustee by-election, there's a tab that is the online voting and FAQs page. And I'm going to read directly from that because it says a lot of the things that I think should be stated out loud in terms of this trust and security of this software. New Vote is an election service provider that provides online voting services throughout the world. This service is maintained exclusively on New Vote servers and is not shared or hosted on City of Hamilton infrastructure. New Vote uses the most advanced cryptographic protocol available for online voting, the Estonian protocol. Estonia has been using online voting since 2003 and has withstood cyber attacks from Russia since its inception without a single data breach or failure. New Vote also is unique as it reinforces each digitally cast ballot with a printed cryptographic paper ballot. New Vote is also the first company to support the development of standards for online voting in Ontario, and the system is fully compliant with the Digital Governance Standards Institute, DGSI 111-1 online voting standards. More details can be found at a website. New Vote's system provides end-to-end verifiability, E2EV, and each vote cast is secured with a voter receipt for individual verifiability. I also wanted to make note in my comments at AFNA that AMO did a post-2022 Ontario municipal elections wrap-up, to which there are 444 municipalities, however, only 417 municipalities participated in the election. 217 municipalities had online voting, which is actually up 24% from 2018. So we are AMO is seeing a rise and a gradual increase in the use of online voting across Ontario. On top of that, there is also another press release that AMO has on their website citing that Markham receives a Municipal Innovation Award for leadership in digital democracy. The Peter J. Marshall Innovation Award presented the highest award to the City of Markham for its approach to the 2022 Markham municipal election. The City of Markham was Canada's first municipality to vote online, delivering an online voting platform for 6 consecutive municipal elections since 2023. Council colleagues, I am a firm cheerleader for the opportunity and option for more accessible voting. I'm not discounting the in-person, paper, mail-in voting. I'm just asking for an alternative for our citizens in order to engage them in the democratic process. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Spatafora.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I love how when we don't agree, all of a sudden we're providing misinformation and fear-mongering. But I'm not shocked. The feds don't use it. The province doesn't use it. More than 50% of municipalities don't use it. There are currently zero guidelines and standards from the Government of Canada. Zero. There might be guidelines. You can look online and you'll find them. You know who they're not from? The Government of Canada or the Government of Ontario. So there are zero standards and guidelines issued from the federal government and the provincial government that regulates municipalities. I think that's important. Not misinformation. That's real. Confirm it with the clerk if you don't believe me. As for the ID information not being needed and it being in place since one of the members on this committee was born, the government doesn't promote that. Governments don't go out and say, hey, people, leave your ID at home. Don't worry about a voter card. Just show up. There's this thing we've been doing since 1975. You just show up, we can say an oath. You're good. You know why it's not promoted? Because it's not wanted to be that way. It's so that if by chance, for those small specific reasons why people don't have ID, and those reasons are very minimal compared to the amount of people in this country that have valid ID, whether it's a passport or a driver's license, the majority of people have ID. That's why it's not promoted, because governments want people to come with a voter card. They want people to come with valid ID. And it's for that odd time, for that specific reason, that we say, hey, we understand the situation you're in and your predicament. We are gonna help you, but we don't promote it. We don't say, don't worry about it. So that's why it's not talked about, and that's why people don't know about it. We have a current process that we just went around the table and said is no good, needs to be better. And the way to fix that is to bring another process in so that in a year from now, the people sitting around this table are gonna complain that the new process we brought in needs work. You wanna talk about accessibility? We got a report that didn't include mail-in ballots. The only thing that helped with accessibility, that was the only thing. Besides in-person voting, the only thing that helped with accessibility besides, where the actual polling station was. But for people not to be able to vote in person, their only way to do it was mail-in ballots, and we took that out and said, let's do online instead. Fix mail-in ballots, which at AFNA we heard from the clerk. He's doing that. He's gonna make it better. There's always gonna be the issue with Canada Post. We can't control that. But timing, when they go out, how they go out, the clerk already committed to that at the AFNA meeting. Mail-in ballots will be better. Fix the polling locations, fix the accessibility around the polling locations, and you have a better process before you bring in online voting that the governments that we report to don't even have guidelines and standards for and don't even use. And again, it's not misinformation and it's not fear-mongering, it's reality.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Taddison.
I went through COVID as an educator. I went through online learning. At that point, I was part of the greatest acceleration in technological learning for educators and students that the province has ever faced, our nation has ever faced. Were there issues? Yes, there were many. We had security breaches, and we got through those challenges and we learned from them. I honestly think, because of those experiences, that this system, and I can confidently say that I believe our system is mature, and I believe it's hardy enough to deal with the concerns that were raised here today. And I'll be voting for greater accessibility today as our council representative that sits on ACPD. I've heard that the current voting is good enough. I've always told my students, good is the enemy of great. Continuous learning makes you great. The status quo is good, but I'm working for great, not just good. And so I'll be voting accordingly today.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Clark for a second time.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, and I'll be brief. First, I am disappointed with the language that I've heard around this table, implying that your colleagues have not done any research, implying that they're providing misinformation or fear. These are all words that we've heard. These are all words that are not appropriate in any debate. Every member of this council does their own research and comes to the table with their position. To try to dissuade that position by implying they haven't done their homework, it's not only inappropriate, it's irresponsible. In my research, I found a professor at Western University, Alexander Essex. He is the associate professor who studies cryptography and cybersecurity, and he has been researching online voting for many years. His statement, paper ballot, as it said, can be in front of the election scrutineers to verify the results. These are concerns an electronic system could be hacked and ballots altered. He compares online voting to officials counting ballots behind closed doors. That's the professor saying it, not me. Professor said, if you are one of the losing candidates or a person who has voted for a losing candidate, you might rightly have questions about what went on in that room. There needs to be some form of evidence that supports the election results. In many cases, we're not seeing specific evidence to support those results. He went on to indicate that in 2018, more than 50 Ontario municipalities ran into problems with online ballots on election day, forcing them to extend their voting hours. The vendor providing the service, I won't mention the vendor, blamed a third-party company for limited incoming online voting traffic. There was a restriction placed on the bandwidth, so it was 1/10 of what it was intended to be. This caused websites to slow and in some cases not work, and people did not cast their ballots. With the issue of verifying the software, he raises the concern, and he identified it, that there was an election server, that the election servers may not even be in Canada. We did a study last year on the Western Australian state election. We found the private keys. These are the encryption keys to protect your ballot and your voter credentials. We found those keys living on servers all over the world, including in China. That's not a hack. That's actually the keys that ensure verification of the software. So they found them online. He goes on to say, you're not just protecting individual votes by having verification. You are protecting the trust of the election. And he claims very clearly the system is not foolproof. And what I've heard today, it sounds like people think the system is foolproof. And he's proven already several times that online voting is susceptible. So when I look at that research, and I've read other articles where people, professors are saying, oh, it's the best thing and we got to do this, it's great for democracy. But if you're not making sure that the software is sturdy, is incorruptible, and at the present time, it looks as though there are challenges there, then we are opening a Pandora's box. Let's be honest. You could do it today and you'd never have an issue. But that was like a situation in Thunder Bay where they started the voting and all of a sudden someone called the city and said, I just voted in this ward and the names that I'm voting on are not the names in my ward. That was through online balloting. If no one had noticed, they just went on their merry way, then you would have a faulty election. So these are the challenges that we have. It is not risk-free, as some have claimed. And I truly worry that we're getting into something that has not had the vigorous study to ensure that it's perfect. The perfect system is counting ballots with scrutineers, mail-in ballots with scrutineers. That's the perfect system. In a recount, a judicial recount, it's easy. That's what we should continue to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Are there any other speakers? I don't see any on the list. Councillor Cretch, second time.
Thanks, and this will be brief. I want to say that I'm the first one to bring up the word misinformation here, and I never said it had anything to do with anyone in this chamber. I'm talking about the conversation. I never said there was anyone here spreading misinformation. I said there was misinformation about the subject, and I clarified what it was. And you might have been here to see Councillor Clark, but there were people who were genuinely shocked when I said that you're not required to use ID. So people were reacting to that statement. I think, to some extent. Can't speak for what other people said, just speaking for myself. I also stated that there are risks. I didn't hear anybody here today say there weren't any. So I think it's important that those things are on the record. I don't want anyone to be confused about what's happening. Understand that there's going to be difference and division on the subject. That's okay. But just want it for the record to state exactly what I said and what it meant.
Thank you, Councillor. So no further speakers. We'll go to the electronic vote. Let me just be clear. If you vote yes, you are supporting the amendment, and that would get us into the online voting. If you vote no, you're opposed to that. Is that correct, Clerk?
That's correct, Deputy Mayor.
We'll call the vote electronically. The motion is defeated 9-5. Okay. We have a motion on the floor. Moved by Spatafor, seconded by, who was it, Councillor? Edie, on the AFNF report. Any discussion on that? Yeah, the whole report. Yep. You're welcome. My pleasure. Okay, we'll go electronically, please. Vote is up. And that is carried without dissenting vote. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on. We're on item 7.1. Councillor Kretsch, may I please have a motion to receive the Hamilton Utilities Corporation shareholder minutes of June 23rd, 2025.
So moved by myself and Councillor Maureen Wilson, the previous Deputy Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any items within the minutes members would like to speak to? Seeing none, we'll go to the electronic vote. Whoops. Councillor Clark. Sorry, I'll try to make a habit of looking up to the screen before each vote, Councillor. My apologies.
Yeah, it's kind of like I'm doing online voting and there's challenges. We're on the planning committee. I'd like to speak to item 8.1, if I may, sir.
Yes. 7.1.
Sorry, we're not on the planning committee. We are on agenda item 7.1.
My apologies. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll go to the electronic vote. That's carried without dissenting vote. 16-0. Okay. Move on to 7.2. Councillor Kretsch, may I please have a motion to receive and approve the recommendations within the Hamilton Enterprises Holding Corporation shareholder minutes of June 23rd.
So moved by myself and seconded by former Deputy Mayor Maureen Wilson.
Okay. Are there any items within these minutes that members would like to speak to? Apparently not. So we'll go to the electronic vote. That motion is carried, again 16-0. 14-0, sorry. 14, yep. Yeah, 16 would be tough, given that we have a vacancy in Ward 8 at the moment, wouldn't it? Okay. Public Works Committee, 7-3. Councillor Pauls, as chair, may I please have a motion to receive and approve the recommendations within the Public Works Committee minutes of July 7th, 2025. Reminder that there was a declaration of conflict, and so the councillor will abstain on this vote. Let it be so recorded.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
You're welcome.
It's moved by myself and second by Councillor Matt Francis, who is the co-chair, that the PWC 25008, being the minutes of the Public Works Committee meeting held on Monday, July 7, 2025, item 7.3 be received, and all the recommendation contained therein be approved. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Jackson.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor McMeekin. One's a commendation item and one's a request for a separate vote. So can I do the commendation quickly first?
Sure.
Thank you. 10.6, Remembrance Day crosswalk design for the Royal Canadian Legion Branch 163. Just a tremendous thanks and congratulations to Councillor Esther Pauls, who has led this charge. And once again, the mountain councillors and offices in unison are supporting this landmark of over 90 years in remembrance of those that fell over many wars, especially World Wars I, II, Korean, even in Afghanistan and others, to ensure the freedom of our great country of Canada. I want to commend Councillor Pauls for her leadership. I was up recently meeting with the leadership and the executive up at Legion Branch 163 this past weekend, and I can tell you they're feeling just special and wonderful for all the attention that council as a collective is giving them to ensure that for generations to come, that landmark will flourish and not be lost. So that's my commendation to Councillor Pauls, primarily for the new crosswalk that hopefully will be in place for this Remembrance Day service. Deputy Mayor, thank you.
Thank you.
Now, can I go to the other one?
Yes, I wish you would.
Thank you. So if I could just ask 10.5 municipal resolution to support the need for provincial action on salt pollution from road salt. I just want to be consistent with my vote at Public Works. Could I ask that 10.5 under the therefore be resolved section C, Roman numerals 1, 2, and 3 under section C. I just want a separate vote there because especially one of the line items would lead one to believe that this is direction to the reduction of the use of road salt with re-examining it within the existing plan. And I'm just already anticipating that this may be going someplace before council has a chance for a full review. So just a separate vote on section C, please.
So you'll move that?
I don't know how I do that, or I just ask for a separate vote, please.
Yeah, so we don't need to move it. It's already on the floor.
Okay.
Perhaps what we'll do, Deputy Mayor, is we'll consider item 10.5 now.
Okay.
We'll do a separate vote. If there's any further discussion on it, we can have that. And if not, we'll have a vote on, and I'll just confirm with the councillor, that's clause CII, clause C2.
CII, and I believe there's an III as well. Yes, all three under section C.
Okay, so a
please.
separate vote on clause C and then a vote on the balance of that motion.
Perfect. Thank you, City Clerk Trenum. Thank you.
Aye, sir. Okay.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor.
Any further discussion? Yes, Councillor Wayne.
A reminder that I need to pull out 9.4 so I can vote to abstain on that particular vote.
Okay, so noted. Councillor Alex Wilson?
Thanks. Just, are we on 9.5C discussion? I'd like to be on the speakers list when we are, but if we're not there, I'll queue.
We'll make sure you
Sorry,
are.
10.5.
Right now we're dealing with 10.5.
Okay. Just want to assure Councillor Jackson, who's worried about where we might be going with this, that this language mirrors the salt management plan language in early 2000s and the late 2010s. So this mirrors language that was supported by the councillor twice already, if that's reassurance. But again, we can all vote how we want, not trying to pressure anyone on the issue. We just want to assure you this is mirroring consistently with what's in the existing policy. Thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion? No, this would be an electronic vote as well, I understand?
That's correct. So we'll start with an electronic vote on minute item 9.5, clause C. Sorry, 10.5, clause C.
Okay. Vote is up. Okay, the vote is carried
11 to
11 to 3.
So we'll now move to a vote on the balance of minute item 10.5.
Thank you, Clerk. The balance of 10-5. No further speakers. We'll go right to the electronic vote, which is up. That's carried without dissenting vote, 14-0. Thank you.
So we do have a separate vote then, Deputy Mayor, on item 9.4 for the disqualifying interest.
Right, okay. That's also electronic vote. Okay. Councillor Wang is abstaining. Just being friendly, Councillor. Okay, thank you. Carried. All right. 7-4 is the Planning Committee. I know, Councillor.
Sorry.
Yes?
Apologies, Deputy Mayor. We just need the balance of the Public Works minutes.
Okay, the balance of the Public Works Committee. Did Brad want 9.5? Okay, yes. Councillor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Wang, for noticing that. I just want some clarification on the Transit Initiative Program. So this is basically where using the thrust of Metrolinx's purchasing power as well as ours to get the best deals on transit vehicles, et cetera. That is correct?
Through the Deputy Mayor, General Manager of Finance Corporate Services, Mike Zagaric, that's correct.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. A follow-up question. Does that agreement where it talks about the terms of reference, does that bind us to the Presto Pass and Presto Fare parity?
Through the chair, staff's understanding, and we'll confirm this, is that agreement binds the city, or could bind the city if the city chooses to proceed with the purchase under that agreement of the vehicles, but not any other ancillary services with Metrolinx, including the Presto Pass.
Yeah.
But we will confirm that.
Thank you. So the Presto Pass is outside of this agreement, and any ancillary agreements on the utilization of the Presto Pass comes to council under a separate agreement. And the reason I'm asking is there continues to be a lot of talk about fare parity across the province for the Presto Pass. In essence, all municipalities would have to charge the same fare. And I've not ever been on for that. And I'm just wanting to make sure that that is not being captured here.
Good morning. Through the chair, Angela Story, Acting General Manager for the Acting General Manager of Public Works, Jackie Kennedy. Jackie's actually popped on the screen here. She does have some information on this, Councillor Clerk, so we'll let Jackie do that.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Acting General Manager of Public Works, Jackie Kennedy, through the Deputy Mayor. The agreement being sought here for approval is strictly about the procurement of the buses. That is not about payment systems. It is strictly on the use of the of Metrolinx's purchasing capabilities and their terms and references, and we worked collaboratively with them for the buses. It is not related to Presto.
Thank you. That provides me some relief, Deputy Mayor, because in the past there has been some provisos. If you're doing this with Metrolinx, then you have to do this. And so I'm just concerned that we still maintain a degree of ownership of our own HSR system and our own fare system. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. So Clerk, do we vote on 995?
Unless there's a request to do it separately, we can just move to the balance of the minutes.
Okay, let's move to the balance of the minutes. It's up. That's carried 14-0. Thank you. Where are we now, Clerk?
So we're now moving to the Planning Committee minutes, agenda item 7.4.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Wang, may I please have a motion to receive, approve the recommendations within the Planning Committee minutes of July 8th, 2025 and receive the correspondence item?
Yes, Deputy Mayor, moved by myself, seconded by Vice Chair Taddison. A, that PLC 25009, being the minutes of Planning Committee meeting held on Tuesday, July the 8th, be received and recommendations contained therein be approved, and that the following correspondence item be received. Correspondence from Daniel Guzzetti, Empire, respecting minute item 9.5 PEG 24077B, recommendation to pass a bylaw to designate 84 York Boulevard, the Philpott Memorial Church, under Part 4 of the Ontario Heritage Act, Ward 2.
Okay.
And you have Councillor Clark to item 8.1.
Yes, Councillor Clark.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor McMeekin. It is 8.1. This is for an official plan amendment, zoning bylaw amendment of lands located at 1809 through to 1843 Rymel Road East. I have a quick question of Mr. Robichaud or Ms. Fayback. The province has made many changes to the planning acts. One of them was the change to the provincial planning statement. And if I understand it correctly, the changes to that statement, which is policy in Ontario, now prevents municipalities from arguing that a proposed development does not meet the character of the neighborhood, which eliminates that defense at an Ontario Lands Tribunal hearing. Can I get a response from staff with regards to their understanding of it? I may have it wrong.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, to the Ward Councillor, Steve Robichaud, Chief Planner. The Ward Councillor is correct. The cumulative impact of both the legislative and policy changes imposed by the province over the last few years has removed character as a consideration in terms of why an application should not be supported by council or approved. So we can no longer use that test in terms of when evaluating a development application, especially if it seems to be a significant change to the existing built form. Instead, it's really more focusing on impact, and character is not one of those impact tests. Thank you.
Thank you. And so in this application, the proposal is to permit the development of 4 mixed-use buildings with building heights of up to 12 stories with residential, commercial uses, and a block for future low-density residential development. While the original Trinity West secondary plan, if I recall correctly, was medium density, I thought that secondary plan had restricted it to 4 stories, and this is now an increase to 12 stories. Do I have that accurate?
Through you, Mr. Deputy Mayor, that is correct.
Thank you. So there were a number of residents who were opposed to this, Deputy Mayor. There was a petition, I'm going by memory, I think it was 242 people signed the petition opposed to this. They had many concerns, one of which obviously is the character of the community, and they did not expect 12-story buildings behind them. They had concerns about privacy. They had concerns about noise. They had concerns about the density of the increase in traffic. Now, I've had discussions with the planner, Van Roy, as well as Mr. Robichaud, the chief planner, and all of those objections were mitigated through the designs of the building. So if we look at privacy, the building was set back significantly so that it really does provide privacy, also increases the amount of sunshine. In terms of noise and privacy, there's going to be fencing and landscaping around behind it. That will happen during the site plan, so we'll be able to look at that more vigorously at that particular point in time. The traffic congestion, the area is congested already, but this particular building is far enough back, the entrance and exit to Rymel Road, that it shouldn't cause significant issues with that intersection. Ultimately, the real hope is that the extension of Upper Red Hill Valley Parkway will help take a lot of the traffic off of Rymel and put it right onto Upper Red Hill Valley Parkway. At the end of the day, the residents wanted me to oppose this, and I am struck with the fact that we did oppose 1065 Paramount Drive, an 8-story building. Staff recommended opposing it. I supported the staff. It was not a political decision. We went to the Ontario Lands Tribunal, and I think it was one of the first cases where the new provincial planning statement came into effect, which prevented us from arguing that we did not plan for the 8-story building. We planned for townhomes and single-family homes and up to a 3-story building. We lost that. And so the real challenge, Deputy Mayor, while I want to support the democratic will of the residents who live close by, I am challenged by spending taxpayer money on an appeal that I do not believe is winnable because of the provincial policy changes. In the past, we might have been able to do it, but we can't do it here. So I will vow to work with the residents to ensure that all of the mitigations that have been proposed in this development application, and likewise work with staff on the site plan to do everything that we can to protect the privacy, eliminate noise for the local residents, and make sure that this is done in a reasonable fashion that really does mitigate many of the challenges that were proposed by residents. So I will be supporting this Deputy Mayor with the recognition that there is no chance of winning an appeal on this based on the new provincial planning statement and provincial policies. Thank you for your time, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Kretsch, you take the chair just for a moment.
Happy to. Go ahead.
I'll be very brief. It's so disappointing that a level of government that has power over a number of planning processes and decisions can obstruct us by removing character from the equation. That's all I want to say. Thank you. Can I reassume the chair? I do so Or resume it, okay. So we have a
Transfer
vote.
to you, yes.
Any further, yes, Councilor Spatafor.
Just a comment for me, because I don't sit on planning, and
Yes, please.
when I listen to what's being talked about and how we're looking at not fighting appeals based on, we're going to lose that OLT in the province is the problem in that. It's hard for me to understand why any application that comes through planning would get denied when, doesn't matter how high it is. If we've committed around this table to a no urban boundary expansion, how can we continually fight the size, the look? We want units. We got to build units. We need units. We got to meet targets. We say all these things. We shut down urban boundary expansion because it's the worst thing that could happen in the history of mankind. And then every application that comes forward, we talk about maybe it's not the right thing. Maybe it's not this. The 4-story building on Bonaventure is directly related to planning decisions we made here that allows for that. So we need more units. Every application that comes forward, if it's 100 stories, should be a yes. I don't understand how we can say we don't want urban boundary expansion, but then all of a sudden our residents say, well, they don't want it, and make it shorter. Hey, if it's no urban boundary expansions, planning should be the easiest committee. It should just, any building that comes through should just be a yes. I have a hard time understanding why residents who I hear around this table from all other councilors that nobody wants all the residents do not want urban boundary expansion. The majority of our city, the vast majority, does not want urban boundary expansion, but then when they have a tower that comes in their neighborhood, all of a sudden they don't want the tower either. So I'm just trying to understand how the math works. If we lower the height of the towers and we don't expand, how do you get the units? And then say it's the province's problem. I don't know. I know I'm not sticking up for Doug Ford, but maybe.
Thanks for your observations, noted. Councillor Clark for a second time.
I appreciate Councillor Spatafor's commentary. I didn't speak to the freeze on the urban boundary because it is law. That is our bylaw, that we passed that. And what he is saying is absolutely correct. But you still have to respond to the objections of the residents. Whether you agree with them or not, they are raising what they believe to be valid objections to a planning proposal. And to ignore that is someone's folly. It delegitimizes the planning hearing process. If we don't respond to their concerns, if we just simply receive their concerns and move on without dealing with it, I think that's a mistake. And I think residents deserve more than just a perfunctory response to, well, we froze the urban boundary, so too bad, so sad. I could get into the fact that this road is actually a large arterial road that is a transit corridor by another bylaw that requires Rymal Road, the S line, to actually go all the way down to Centennial Parkway. And at some point in the future, it would become a rapid transit project. Therefore, on that road, well, my apologies, Deputy Mayor, if I'm taking up too much time.
No. I'm responding to another set of councillors, Councillor, not you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. What is being proposed on this property matches several bylaws that have been approved by council. My point is, simply because we approve those bylaws does not give us the right to ignore positions of residents in the community. So I'm responding to their concerns. I'm stating why I'm supporting it, why I can't support their objections, and how I've worked with staff and the developer to ensure that we have mitigations to the vast majority of those objections. I just want to make that very clear. It's not simply about the urban boundary. There are many bylaws that we have to comply with as a municipality. Thank you.
I understand. Thank you, councillors. Yeah, okay. So Clerk, we're moving to the vote on the report. Okay. No further discussion. We'll call up the vote. Okay, 14 to zip again. Thank you very much. It's carried. Okay, that brings us to the General Issues Committee meeting of July 9th, 2025. Councillor Kretsch, may I please have a motion to receive, approve the recommendations within the General Issues Committee, open and close minutes of July 9th, 2025, and receive the correspondent items therein.
So moved by me and seconded by former Deputy Mayor Maureen Wilson.
Okay, very good. Are there any items within the minutes members would like to speak to, amend, or have voted on separately? Yes, Councillor Nan.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. On item 8.4, the Hamilton Wentworth District School Board Liaison Committee. And if you recall, and colleagues recall during GIC, I had mentioned that I would take the opportunity for a sidebar conversation with Public Works facilities staff about the discussion regarding Bernie Custis
I recall
secondary.
that, yep.
Yep. So I'd like to, if I can, appropriate time to chat about it.
Okay.
Great. So the question and dialogue that took place during the liaison committee was about the recognizing the work that city staff have done to increase the number of hours available to students to use the stadium. It was discussed during the liaison committee that the hours that have been made available do not match the current PE class schedules and doesn't work entirely in terms of a robust use by the students for the different school teams. And subsequently, I had a chance to talk with our staff and facilities. So if I could, through you, ask Acting General Manager for the Acting General Manager to please provide a summary on what are the next steps the city is going to be taking to address this concern.
Can we have the acting General Manager handle that for us, please?
Definitely. Good morning again. Angela Story, Acting GM Public Works for Jackie Kennedy. So following our meeting with Councillor Nan, so staff did meet to review the comments of the liaison committee and the councillor. And in advance of the upcoming school year, staff are going to connect with all of the stakeholders at Bernie Custis, including the athletic director, the phys ed teachers, and the principal, to ensure that all are aware of the stadium availability. Stadium booking staff will schedule regular contact with the school to ensure that they have access to any new availability that opens up due to bye weeks, the team being on the road, et cetera. And we're hopeful that this approach will allow for the students to be able to use the stadium more than they have been able to in the previous years.
Thank you so much. Through you, Deputy Mayor, I really appreciate the conversation. And I do want to echo that conversation is exactly what has been happening to date, where city staff have been very open to feedback, very committed to improving the process, and have continued to demonstrate outcomes and actually measure that outcome in terms of increased use to our community. The city remains steadfast in our commitment to our community about community use of the stadium, and also acknowledge that the initial vision behind the stadium was to ensure that the high school students had access to that field. And so recognizing that the 10th anniversary is this year, it's a really important milestone for us to continue our commitment to making sure that we're improving that access. So really appreciating city staff in that. Also want to appreciate our school board trustee and colleagues for raising the issue through the liaison committee. And want to appreciate the restructuring of the liaison committee that enables more proactive work on these types of issues that otherwise kind of sit in a no man's land and don't really get addressed in a formalized way. So just appreciating the work. Thank you.
All good news. Thank you. Councillor Francis.
Just requesting a separate vote on the art gallery funding, please.
What number is that?
8-2.
8-2, okay. We'll come back to that when we're finished the speakers list. Thank you. Councillor Clark.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Item 7.4, the 10-year downtown revitalization strategy project update. We had a very good discussion at committee on this proposal, and I support the proposal. We have a difference of opinion in terms of what is the perception of our downtown and how we are going to improve the perception of our downtown, which I understand staff are working on. ironically, shortly after we approved this strategy update and consultants report, there was another shooting in downtown, and a young lady has lost her life, who was an innocent bystander, caught up in what is stated by the police as a targeted shooting. I have long argued now over 6 years that the terminology targeted shooting is a bit erroneous because the people who are doing this are not marksmen. They may have a target, but they're shooting up the street when it happens. And we've seen that with shots through buildings. We've had a young boy who was shot in the stomach many years ago. We've had many tragedies. So the question I would like, and I'm looking perhaps to the members on the Police Service Board, can council actually request a report from the Police Service Board on all the things that they are doing to address the rampant gunplay in the city? You know, when we have 17-year-olds running around with guns, it's a real concern. And I know it gets discussed at the Police Service Board, but I think it would help us if we had a really good understanding of what the police are doing and what the city can do to help them.
Okay, there's only one member of the Police Service Board here. Councillor Kretz, do you want to try to tackle that?
I'll do my best. Usually, City Council's opportunity to ask questions about the police budget, about things that the police are spending money on, is through the budget process. And so when the chief comes before us, he always has stats that he mentions about what's happening with respect to violence in our city and how they're addressing it. Yes, we can ask the chief to report on it. I expect that there will be some reporting on this regardless, publicly and at the board. If you want to send along a note to the board administrator, she can tell you exactly how that works. That's the better way to do it. Don't think we often get a request from an individual councillor to try and address the meeting at the board. If council wanted to pass a resolution to do something, I think it can do so. You know, I'm happy to ask the chief this question during the verbal updates or updates they give, pardon me, at the beginning of the meeting if you'd like, and get more information from him there. But to get something fulsome, which is I think what you're asking for, would require them to go back, look at the information, see what they're doing, and provide something appropriate. So that's the best I can say. On your last point about what the city can do to help, it's my understanding that under the Community Safety and Policing Act, this is entirely in the domain of the Chief of Police, and this is not about what cities can do specifically without the request of the Chief of Police to do something. So that's the best I have at the moment, off the cuff. And if you want to follow up with me, I can do my best to get you more information.
Okay, Councillor Clark, you still have
Deputy Mayor, I am grateful for Councillor Kretsch's comments. I will speak with Councillor Kretsch separately. I just don't want it to become a political situation. I want to ensure that any request for a report is following the actual Police Service Board process. We don't direct the Police Service Board in terms of how they manage things, but we are the direct conduit to the residents, and they're the ones that are having the concerns about the increasing gun violence in the city. And so I think it would behoove us to have some type of discussion with the police leadership. So I'll leave it there. I'll speak with Councillor Kretsch privately. Thank you for offering, sir. And figure out what's the best way to have a report come to the City of Hamilton. Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Jackson.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor McMeekin. Just on 8.2, the Art Gallery of Hamilton, I really appreciate what Director Lisa Abbott has brought forward at Councillor Clark's request to clarify exactly the future funding increase that would be going forward pending 2026 budget approvals and deliberations. And I also want to thank her and City Clerk Trenum and staff. And I want to make sure now, I'm hearkening back to information item 6.3 because it's germane to 8.2 in the General Issues Committee report. I want to ensure beyond a shadow of a doubt that item 4, pending successful 2026 budget deliberations, my amendment, before any licensing agreement with the Art Gallery is signed, I just want to make sure that was captured in the revised and amended 8.2. Deputy Mayor, possibly through you then to City Clerk Trenum, please. I apologize for hearkening back to 6.3 Art Gallery of Hamilton funding. I see it in there. It was an information item, but it's germane to here, and I just want to make sure it's captured in the final recommendation as amended.
That's an important point. Clerk?
Yes, it was captured, Deputy Mayor, and as part of what is on the floor.
Thank you, City Clerk Trenum. I'm supportive overall. Thanks, Deputy Mayor McMeekin.
Councillor Spatafora?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Two items. The first one, I don't know the number, but Councillor Nan, I believe, was speaking to, and it's in regards to the stadium and the usage. I have a question. Obviously, I think when that stadium deal was done, I was not here. And I don't know if this can be answered in open, and if it can't be, I would appreciate information coming back at some point from staff. But I thought there was discussions around another parcel of land that was tied to the stadium deal that was going to sort of replace Brian Timmons Stadium, and that was going to move some stuff from there, from Tim Hortons or Hamilton Field to another field, and it was going to open up more usage, and now I don't believe any of that is happening. So again, I don't want discussions to happen here that maybe aren't allowed to be here because it's part of a lease, but if it can be provided by staff, more information as to what happened with that additional field that I believe was supposed to be built, would be greatly appreciated. And then whenever I can ask some questions and make a comment on the art gallery, please.
Okay. Anybody care to comment on that? Councillor Nan?
Sure, happy to respond. That there is a report coming on Brightside Park through Public Works Committee, which I believe is the large practice field that you're referring to, where the municipality is moving forward with that work. So yeah, nothing in confidence there. There is a report coming.
Perfect. Thank you, Councillor. And okay to ask a question or two on the art gallery?
Sure.
Awesome. And I apologize if this question was asked at GIC, but I don't know who would answer it, if it's the solicitor or the director. Are you allowed to leverage? I think the art collection is worth $1 billion. We, I believe, own half of it, so $500 million collection that I guess the property of the city of Hamilton. Are you allowed to leverage the $500 million through you, Deputy Mayor?
I don't know who can tackle that. I know there are complications with CRC, but Clerk, any advice?
Just one. The reason for the question is
Lisa Abbott online.
I own $1 million house without a mortgage. I can leverage it. I have a $500 million art collection. Yeah. Is it leverageable? Because that would make a lot more sense if you were able to do that, a line of credit, something, instead of just throwing the money right away.
That's a very technical question. I'm not,
Certainly, to respond through the chair, my understanding is that it is not a best practice to leverage it. There are challenges in terms with the CRA. It creates significant problems when artwork has been donated for the purpose of being, to remain in perpetuity in a gallery's collection, to then turn around and sell it. So there is significant legal concern. Thank you.
That would have to do with charitable receipts and the like.
No, I understand that. I didn't say about selling it.
Yeah.
I asked about leveraging it. So I own an art collection that's worth $500 million. Can I go to TD Bank and say, hey, listen, can I get a $100,000 line of credit, a $2 million line of credit on my $500 million asset that I own? I'm not saying sell art. I'm asking about if we can leverage a $500 million worth of art.
Thank you. To respond through the chair. Thanks for that added clarity. Again, my understanding is because you cannot sell it, it is not considered to be an asset of value according to the banks. So when you have it on your asset statement, for example, it only has a valuation of a nominal amount of $1. Thank you.
Okay. And just to preface here, I'm not a hater of the art gallery. I hope everybody don't stop the
You
articles.
love the arts, I know that.
Stop the articles. But I do have, like, that spurs another question. So we talk about our $1 billion art collection, and I think I just heard it's on the books as worth $1.
You just can't leverage it for more than $1.
Yeah, well, then I don't know that we should sell it as it being, I think the value of the art speaks volumes. It shouldn't speak money if I can't leverage it.
They would agree with you.
I would say that moving forward, if this is the direction, the art gallery, whatever staff from the city of Hamilton is involved, we need to do a better job with the data we're providing. We cannot continue to come back and come back. The building should have never been allowed. If it's our building, which I believe it is, should have never been allowed to get to this point. Would have been cheaper to fix.
Yep.
But in 5 years from now, and things don't go the way the art gallery and staff don't want it to go, we cannot continue to come back and say, well, listen, can you bump us up to 3 million now? Can you bump us up to 4 million? We need to have data that shows that we are doing everything we can to keep it open, to allow residents to come visit, residents from outside of the city, all the beautiful things that come with the art gallery. But it can't just be something that when things don't go our way, we just continue to dump money and dump money and dump money. We need data that proves that where we're putting our money is going to its best use and that we're managing it properly. And that goes for the art gallery and our staff that work with them. That's it for me.
That's a good point, and I think some might argue that's what we're trying to do. Director, any comment?
To respond through the chair, yes, thank you for the additional commentary, and there's absolute agreement here from staff. Thank you.
Very good. Okay, Councillor Kretsch.
Yeah, also on the art gallery, just to say I understand what Councillor Sputafor is saying. These are our assets. If we were to do a leverage for some kind of a line of credit or other kind of instrument, we would just be putting the situation into further deficit. Those expenses aren't going to go anywhere. And so that's been one of the historical problems with the art gallery, is that the city hadn't up till now recognized its relationship to the assets, as we call them broadly, meaning the art and the building and all the things that are part of it. Now that we've recognized that we are indeed owners of those assets, it's our responsibility to take care of them at the cost that frankly it takes. I wanted to speak to something slightly different about the art gallery, just a point of clarification. I know this is something that Councillor Nan and I are both pretty excited is happening finally. And thanks to Lisa Abbott for putting this in more clear language. This will mean the Art Gallery of Hamilton is leaving the City Enrichment Fund. And so for a very long time, what had happened was that a motion some years back, many years back, was passed granting $1 million to the art gallery. Then it was put inside of a city enrichment fund, which created a tension. For those who don't understand, what happened is you have to apply to the city enrichment fund, but we had already given approval for the $1 million every year. So then it created a situation where the art gallery is being asked to apply to the city enrichment fund, but it already has the approval for the money. So that created a really weird and exceptional circumstance inside the city enrichment fund. As far as I'm concerned, it never should have been in there. Now that it's out, this is going to make things much, much clearer. It'll make the data for the city enrichment fund reporting better. It'll make everybody in the arts section, frankly, I think, breathe a sigh of relief to be able to look and see clearly how they're being compared to everybody else without the art gallery being there, sort of a large headline item. So I'm really grateful that's happening and that the funding will now not be going through that program anymore, so that it's clear for everybody how we're funding things, why we're funding them, and how we're supporting the arts in our city. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Clark for a second time.
It's the first time on item 8.2.
Okay.
Second time for the overall
fair enough.
agenda. First, I want to thank staff. They did an excellent job in following my proposed changes to the wording to clarify the language to make it perfectly clear in the future exactly what we are doing here today. I think the memorandum that the clerk provided, as well as the staff report, helped us to really cement the language, so I appreciate the clerk's involvement as well. With reference to Canada Revenue Agency and charitable gifts of art, it is a complex document. And that document does restrict the sale of artwork to specific reasons. So you just can't sell off the artwork and say, we're going to put it into the operating line. You have to sell off the art to help preserve the art that is already existing. That is an acceptable way for the Canada Revenue Agency to approve that sale. Lines of credit based on the artwork owned by the city of Hamilton are usually not permitted. I'm not aware of any time when it was permitted because the banks, the people who are lending the money, unless it's the city of Hamilton that is lending the money, the art is an encumbered collateral. So you just can't sell it off if we don't pay the bill. It's not permissible. So since CRA doesn't permit it, they won't allow us to do that. Councillor Kretsch is correct that creating some kind of line of credit or additional loan will only further restrain expenditures for the art gallery over time because they have to maintain that service level for the loan. I understand that there are some who don't think we should be spending any money on the art gallery. I understand very clearly that there are competing interests within the municipality, not the least of which is homelessness. And we are doing a great deal and spending a great deal of money to help the homeless and increase not-for-profit housing. We own the art, and to say no to this expenditure would be saying you have to gut the art gallery because you can't afford to pay to fix the roof. So you would be closing the facility, which hurts memberships, which hurts revenue coming in, and it also creates the challenge that you're not fixing the leaks in the roof that are becoming a problem for the preserved art. The humidity needs to be really controlled. And if we don't spend the money to fix the roof, if we put it off again because we simply don't have the money, then what will happen is that the artwork will eventually be damaged and we will slowly lose our art gallery. If the council is concerned about the expenditures, then the council can enter in discussions with the art gallery and add additional councillors to sit on the board. I believe Councillor Kretsch is the only one that sits on the board presently. I could be mistaken. But we own the building and the art. It's all managed by the not-for-profit, the art gallery itself, the board of directors. And if we have concerns about how they're spending money, if we have concerns about ensuring financial stability, then we can add additional members to the board. So that's up to the council. I can't advocate to council not to spend this money. I think it would be a mistake. So once again, I thank everyone for providing the clarity. I will support the recommendation, and there are other items that I wish to speak to, and I'll put myself on the list. Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Francis for a second time.
Thank you, Chair. I think it'd be a mistake to not encourage the art gallery to refine their business model. We should maintain the funding that we're funding now. Residents are begging us to find savings. So these types of increases are not what residents are asking us for. They're asking us to find savings where we can. And throwing our hands up and just saying that there's nothing we could do, we have to raise people's taxes, that's not a solution. We're expected to find savings, so I'll be voting against this additional funding at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Councillor Craig, did you want to speak again on something else? No, okay. All right, so there was a request, no other speakers. There was a request to vote on item 8.2 separately.
So Deputy Mayor, I just want to confirm with the group, the recommendations in the minutes differ from the recommendations in the memo. What's on the floor are the recommendations within the minutes. So presuming that everybody believes that they are voting on the recommendations from the additional memo that was added to council, I would recommend that we first ask the mover and seconder of the minutes that is it friendly to amend those recommendations to read as they do in the memo. I see a heads up from the mover, the seconder being Councillor Wilson, Maureen Wilson.
Yes.
Okay. So we will treat
that
that
was
as
a
a
yes, of
friendly
course.
amendment. So what council is voting on when they vote on item 8.2 are the recommendations as listed in the additional memo today from staff.
The clarifying memo, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. So this is definitely an electronic vote, and we're going to call it right now on 8.2. Twelve one. The motion is carried. Okay.
To the balance of it, I believe Councillor Clark made a comment there might be something else he wished to speak to, and I'm getting a head nod.
Yep, Councillor?
Thank you. I just wanted to speak to item 10.2. I know it's a notice of motion and it's going to stay a notice of motion. Can I get verification for the public from the clerk when this item will be up for debate at the next GIC meeting? I think it's July 30th, but I might be mistaken.
July 30th, right? Yep. It would be July 30th, Deputy Mayor.
July 30th, Councillor.
Thank you. So for the folks who are living around the landfill and are concerned about the recent reports of exceedingly high total reduced sulfur compounds in the air, up to a maximum of 177.6 parts per billion versus what the province says should be 10 parts per billion. This particular report will be coming to the July 30th GIC meeting. And we will be asking our staff to look at the health impacts from the exposure to these elevated TRS numbers. And residents have the right to write to the clerk.hamilton.ca or clerk@hamilton.ca to raise what they have experienced with their own health with regards to these numbers. I'm getting a lot of calls from folks, so I want to make sure that the public knows that there is opportunity for them to participate by sharing a written statement, by attending in person, and or by providing a video of their commentary. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Those are all my items.
Yeah, Councillor, I appreciate your public service announcement there. That's very appropriate that information be indicated to the general public. Thank you. Okay, so that moves us to, sorry, Councillor Kretsch.
Just, Brad, since I think you were trying to speak to the public there, if I inferred correctly, you said that the report would be coming back, and I just wanted to clarify that the report won't be back till Q3. So this is just asking for the report, if I got that right. Is that right? Just wanted to clarify that.
Yes, sir, that is absolutely correct. Thank you for the catch.
Okay.
So to the balance then of the GIC
Balance
minutes.
of the report electronically, please. Okay, that is 4, 7, 10, 13, 13.
Carries 13 to 0.
Okay, thank you very much. It's carried. Okay, we've handled 7.6 already, Clerk? That's
correct.
So we're moving on to items for consideration.
And on to
Which is done,
motions.
so we're into motions. The Theatre Aquarius Roof Repair Ward 2, Councillor Kretsch, would you please present your motion?
Happy to. My seconder is Councillor Taddison. You'll have it there before you. And sorry, Councillor Jackson, who's also on the Theatre Aquarius Board. We couldn't squeeze you in there as a third. There's no third there, but I'm sure you would have wished to be part of it if you could. There's a serious roof repair required here, so we're doing the same thing we did with respect to the YWCA with some other not-for-profit groups, and we're dedicating some area rating reserve funds to try and help with this very, very serious issue. Roof needing restoration quoted at more than double this cost. So other sources will be coming to bear on this, not just us. The Art Gallery has other funding. The Theatre Aquarius, pardon me, has other funding. This is for a roof repair, and it's before you. Also, there's a bit of a procedural thing going on here. I wanted to explain that briefly. We had allocated some money to the Theatre Aquarius through council last year for helping with a staircase to fill it in. There was a problem there with security issues. In the end, they were able to find another solution that worked okay there and didn't need to fill it in. So that money's going to be brought to this now, and part of this motion is just allowing us to bring that money here so that the costs actually are less than $261,000.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to the electronic vote, please. Thank you, Councillor Kretsch. And that is carried. 13, nothing. Okay, carried. All right, that brings us to 9.2, an amendment to item 2 of the Public Works Committee Report 23017, respecting the standardization of original equipment manufacturer OEM for park assets, playground spray pads, ball diamonds, and benches citywide. Item 11.1, which was approved by council on November 22nd, 2023. Councillor Pauls is not here. Who will move it? Councillor Spatafora?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. It's moved by myself and seconded by Vice Chair Matt Francis. Amendment to item 2 of the Public Works Committee Report 23017, respecting the standardization of original equipment manufacturer for parks assets, playground spray pads, ball diamonds, and benches, PW 23069, item 11.1, which was approved by council on November 22, 23, and I'm not going to read the rest.
Okay. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll go to the electronic vote, please. That is carried unanimously, 13 zip. Thank you. Carried. Thank you, Councillor Kretsch, for that. 9.3, amendment to the Ward 3 Community Resilience Grants Spring 2025 allocation, which was approved by council on June 18th, 2025. Councillor Nan, would you please present your motion?
Happy to do so, Deputy Mayor. Moved by myself and seconded by Ward 2 Councillor Kretsch. Housekeeping motion, really. There was some miscommunication in allocating the funding. The initial motion read to include the event host versus the fiscal sponsor. So this is just changing to the fiscal sponsor so that we can get the funds allocated and that they can have the costs that have been incurred by this event, which has already taken place, covered. Thank you.
No, thank you. Any discussion on this housekeeping matter? Okay, we'll vote electronically, please. Vote is up. It's carried unanimously, 13 to zip. Thank you. Okay, that brings us to notices of motions. Are there any notices of motions? None. All right, and that brings us to everybody's favorite part, statements by members. Please indicate if you wish to make a statement. Councillor Jackson, are you wanting to make a statement?
That sounded singular, Deputy Mayor.
It is so far, yep. But
All
these
right.
things tend to grow, as you know.
All right, with always Councillor Alex Wilson's eyes looking upon me at this point of the agenda, let me at least, I had several, but sincerely, I'll highlight, if I could, the top three. First of all, Mountain Brow Boulevard Concession Street Reconstruction Project with the brand-new Phase 2 multi-use pathway. Final paving is underway as we speak. Pavement markings delineating the new laneways east and west from Upper Ottawa to Oakcrest and around the reconfigured, redesigned Kenilworth Circle is underway as we speak. Hopefully, no later than the end of this month, the entire Phase 2 $7.5 million Mountain Brow Boulevard Concession Street reconstruction from Oakcrest all the way to Upper Gauge with the brand new extension of the multi-use pathway will be open and available for use. Very, very proud of this, and a great shout out to Kate Fraser, the East Mountain Citizens Committee that has been working with me for a good 16, 17 years, and also chairperson of the Mountain Brow Boulevard Reconstruction Task Force, Karina Genovese as well, and her committee as well, doing both phases 1 and phases 2. Second announcement. Sunday, July 20th, this Sunday, July 20th at 10 a.m. in memory of the late, great Larry Wood, who was Mr. Baseball in Hamilton. Please come out and support your Cardinals, Hamilton Cardinals of the Intercounty Baseball League, 10 a.m. this Sunday at Bernie Arbor Stadium. Eric Spearin, the new owner, who's been the owner for 2 years now, is just increasing tremendous crowds, up to 2,000 or more. This is the big all-star game, and Hamilton is hosting it. So this Sunday, July 20th, come out and support your Cardinals, some of them who are on the all-star team. Last one, and Deputy Mayor McMeekin, I need to say this, because I've thought about this since my last City Housing Hamilton Board meeting. And so I'm just going to say this in such respectfulness and sincerity. We couldn't have a finer president of the City Housing Hamilton Board than Ward 3 Councillor Narinder Nan. There's many of you, especially many of the newcomers on this council, that are strong advocates for housing, affordable housing, subsidized housing, and housing to ensure not a single homeless person remains in our city. And our mayor, Mayor Horvath, similarly to President Councillor Nan, has had a long history of advocating for subsidized, affordable, multi-use complexes that can house every single citizen and member of our city. I know with this council, there seems to be a pattern that needs to disconnect from the past and needs to sever some tremendous things that, in my humble opinion, actually occurred in the past. And what am I getting at? The recent wonderful ribbon cutting at 55 Queenston Road and 1620 Main Street East. So proud of that as a past CHH board member and currently back on the board this year. And the fact that not even in the report that went to the City Housing Hamilton Board last month, nor to my knowledge, was there any attempt at an invitation to the former Ward 4 councillor, Sam Marula, who back in 2012 had the vision, and primarily because of a community outroar that said enough is enough with the prostitution, with the increased crime and murders at the former City Motor Inn at the Queenston Circle. He said enough is enough. He took it, Deputy Mayor McMeekin, upon himself to ante up several $1 million from his Ward 4 area-rated funds on a whim and a prayer that it would ultimately get council support and to eventually lead to the demolition, tear down of what had become a blight and a tarnishing on this wonderful city's image in the east end of our city that we love and celebrate. And he had the vision that affordable housing and a new complex would take over that site and just bring a breath of fresh air and, above all, much needed affordable housing to our city, and particularly in that geographic area. I just want to so heartily congratulate him, remember him, and I guess I must say it was with sadness and disappointment, and to my knowledge, and I've checked with the family, that not even an outreach was given to maybe invite him to, even in the background, be a part of the celebration the other day and the wonderful ribbon cutting and the beautiful bright new future at that destination site. So I want to say for the official record today, Deputy Mayor McMeekin, how much I appreciated Councillor Marula's vision. Otherwise, none of us would have been there in the last week to celebrate the brand new building. Thanks for your indulgence, Deputy Mayor McMeekin.
Well, thanks for your expression of concern, Councillor. Councillor Beattie.
Deputy Mayor, thank you. We've had a some heavy content around the table today, and I thought maybe after such an arduous conversation, I might offer something a little lighter. And so I wanted to give you a crop update. Got a text message from a colleague around the table. I won't say which one, but if you know anything about anybody, you know who I'm talking about. And the colleague was looking for an update on the state of the peach crop in Winona. So, Deputy Mayor, we are blessed in Hamilton to have an abundance of productive farmland. You know that more than anyone, I would imagine. I used to know the exact number. I said it over and over again at the Roma conference in January, so much so that it's literally fallen out of my head. But amongst that productive farmland, Deputy Mayor, there are basically 3 or 4 areas where we can grow fruit in Hamilton. So Waterdown, as you know, is famous for its apples. A few other tree crops might be out there.
Yep.
And Benbrook apples as well. Upper Stony Creek, at one point, very, very heavily planted in grapes. It's still the primary crop, although pears, apples, and plums are also grown, which leaves the Winona and Fruitland area, which, Deputy Mayor, due to the soil conditions, sheltered microclimate afforded by the tempering effect of Lake Ontario, and the escarpment and the important function of air drainage, something that we in Planning Committee are all learning about constantly. We can grow all of the above, plus a number of other tree fruits, including nectarines, apricots, cherries, and of course peaches, the crop that is practically synonymous with that community due to our world famous Peach Festival, which is the largest celebration of peaches in the entire country. I would dare say the entire world. Go ahead and try to prove me wrong. I wanted to highlight that although we're best known for our peaches on a per hectare basis, it's actually cherries that is the primary crop still grown in the community. We have several pick-your-own farms that offer this crop, and it's been ongoing now for a very long time, Deputy Mayor. The youngest of these farms is celebrating its 70th anniversary. The oldest is now in its 9th generation of active farming, and some of the cherry trees still in active production are over 110 years old. And unlike last year when we had a pretty poor crop, this year's crop for cherries is actually substantial, continues as we speak. And it begins generally the week before Canada Day and continues weather dependent up until now. So then the update on the peaches. I sent a text message out to the owners of the different peach orchards in Winona, and basically we are all in concurrence that the crop looks healthy. The sunlight and the heat is generating a lot of natural sugar, which we all like, but we could use a little more rain. But that said, we don't want to get the rain too soon because cherry trees don't possess the ability to regulate themselves. And if it rains too often, the cherries actually explode on the trees, something called splitting. So we have to wait until we get the cherries off, and now we can get some rain and size up those beautiful peaches. I would encourage everybody to come out to any one of these fruit growing regions within the city of Hamilton and patronize our local family farms, pick up some fresh produce, be it tree fruit, be it any of the other wonderful products that are grown here in Hamilton as part of our $1.3 billion agriculture and agri-food industry. And if you have any questions about where the best peaches might be, I'm happy to take that offline with you. Thank you so much, Deputy Mayor.
So peach be with you. Okay, Councillor Wang. Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Wang.
Thank you for that crop update. It was most enlightening, and I'm very thankful for that. And thank you to Councillor Jackson for bringing up the point about 55 Queenston. I think that that's something to be acknowledged, definitely. Thank you. For the Ward 4 team, we will be hosting a pool party next Wednesday. So we'll be hosting at Parkdale Arena, Pat Quinn Arena, just outside on the greens. That will actually have many different community organizations come and set up tents. So we have Hamilton Regional Indian Center. We also have Boys and Girls Club. We also have Hamont Youth. We have Engage Hamilton. So there are many different community organizations that will also be setting up with us at the pool party. And so my hope is that we can invite Ward 4 residents as well as everyone across the city to come and enjoy the outdoor pool at Pat Quinn. And that will happen on Wednesday, July the 23rd from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock. Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Wang. Councillor Francis.
Me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yes, thank you, Deputy Mayor, and I just want to bring everyone's attention to these recent and serious incidents at the Dominic Agostino Riverdale Recreation Center, a place where families should feel safe. Teens were harassing staff, they're assaulting residents, they're intimidating the community. These are not isolated events. They were relentless, and they forced our rec center to be closed in the evenings. And across our city and across our country, we're seeing an alarming rise in lawlessness, violent crime in broad daylight, people being attacked on their way to work, businesses being robbed, public spaces meant for children and families being inundated with crime. These policies in place today, they're not working. This catch and release approach to justice is just a complete failure. It is demoralizing to our frontline officers, discouraging for the public, and dangerous for our communities. It has to stop, and all levels of government need to be giving our authority these tools necessary to address these concerns. I want to give a special thank you to Victoria Karakesh, the recreation manager for our ward who handles our operations. She stepped up in every way possible since these issues began back in May at our Dominic Agostino Rec Center. She has worked tirelessly behind the scenes, doing everything in her power to avoid a full closure of the center, because she knew what it meant to our neighborhood, what this rec center means to us. And this is what it truly means to be a public servant, her action here. And with her leadership, we implemented a short-term evening closure to reset the group. That was in June. Bring in new security measures, more support staff, and involving our Hamilton Police. And I want to thank the Hamilton Police on that note for making this a priority, for increasing their patrols, bringing in the mounted unit, responding swiftly and effectively. Your work made a difference, and together we brought stability back to the area, but we're not letting our guard down yet. We're never going to let our guard down, but we're staying vigilant here, and we're working with the community and police to organize a local event that reclaims this space for our families and our residents and our children. This isn't just about one rec center. It's a disturbing trend that we're seeing across our city. Just weeks ago, we had a not weeks ago, just days ago actually, we saw a robbery at Eastgate Square at a jewelry store, hit in broad daylight. We had a Ward 5 resident who was punched in the face walking to work, seriously injured for simply just minding her own business. We had people being shot at with fireworks on Canada Day in a park, which should be the safest place in our city. We had a shooting downtown Hamilton where tragically someone has died, and this is now becoming a regular occurrence. This must stop. I'm calling on all levels of government, federal and provincial, to step up and take this seriously. Stop turning a blind eye to this. Stop recycling weak policies. This revolving door of justice is destroying public confidence. It's time to restore justice and sanity to our streets, to our parks, to our malls, to our neighborhoods. People deserve to feel safe walking to work. Seniors deserve to feel safe at their community center. Businesses deserve to operate without fear of robbery. And police officers deserve to know that their efforts actually matter. That when they go out there and they arrest these people, by dinner time, they won't be walking on the streets. And that's what's happening right now. We need real consequences for this violent behavior we're seeing. We need meaningful intervention here for youth who are on the wrong track. We need real leadership from all levels of government to finally say we're not going to let crime control our communities anymore. Let's make it clear to every resident, every offender, and to every government that we will not give in to this crime and accept it as the norm. Enough is enough.
Thanks very much, Councillor. Anybody else? I'll just share, take a couple of minutes to share. I appreciate Councillor Beatty updating us on the rain situation and what have you. I used to get a kick at Queen's Park when I was asked a question as Minister of Agriculture to get up and talk about the price of corn out of Chicago. That always surprised people, but it necessary that farmers who watch the markets, you know, the peaches out your way are just a delight. We try to do our best to can them when they're in season. And out our way, you mentioned apples, the other primary crop that we're dealing with in wonderful ways are strawberries. They're just everywhere. Pick your own strawberries. Wamburgh is also #1 per capita for Christmas tree farms, but that's not, this isn't quite the season to talk about Christmas trees. I want to share a couple of things. I had the privilege as Deputy Mayor to be down at the Bayfront Park for the Canada Day celebration. What a delightful time. There were 25,000 people there. And I think that's the largest crowd I've ever been able to invest 3 minutes of speaking time with to talk about the nation we all love so much. And it was really a treat to watch the kids. One of the measures is how many kids got lost from their parents. They were constantly announcing, "Little Amanda, where are you? Your mother's here waiting for you," etc. It was really quite a fun spot. The other thing I want to share, two other things quickly. One is we're going to have a sod turning for the police, new police fire compound in Waterdown on the 31st at 11 o'clock in the morning, and that will be well received in my community, I can tell you. Thank you all for your support there. And finally, a vote of sincere appreciation, a vote of thanks to our Chief of Staff, Marty Clucky, and the Acting General Manager of Public Works, Jackie Kennedy, who came out to address the Community Council meeting recently. It was delightful to have you there. The confidence and trust in the city was buoyed by your visit. And every conversation I've had with every person who was there since has been very favorable, and very thankful that you were there to help us talk about the hopes and dreams of our city, and that's really important, so thank you. Anyone else? Deputy Mayor, that's me. I'm done. Anybody else? Wishes? Okay, so we'll, thank you. We'll move on. We're into 12, private and confidential. May I have a motion to approve the closed session minutes of June 18th, 2025 and June 25th, 2025 as presented? Spatafora, Kretsch? Okay, show of hands? Okay, thank you. I'm in the hands of the committee now. We could break for lunch if you want, or we could charge on. I think there's only one item. Charge on. Charge on. That's what they said to Custer, charge on. Yeah. And he was the first one to wear an arrow shirt. There you go. No, okay. Moving into closed session, may I please have a motion to move into closed session to consider item 12.4 pursuant to section 9.3 subsection D of the city's procurement bylaw 21021 as amended, and section 2392 subsection D of the Ontario Municipal Act as amended, as the subject matter pertains to labor relations or employee negotiations. Motion? Jackson Spadafora. Electronic vote, please. Thumbs up. What's that? Yeah. Sorry, my computer died on me.
That carries.
Vote is carried.
13-0.
13-0. Thank you. Okay. Members of the public, the meeting will continue following the closed session portion of the meeting. When you see the members rejoining the meeting, council will wait for up to 5 minutes upon reconvening in open session before proceeding with the meeting to provide members of the public and the media time to return. Could I now ask that all members to please ensure they're in a private, well, I'll wait. No, wait till we do that. Members of council, we're now back in open session. Please ensure you are back in the open session portal of eScribe. May I have a motion on 12.4, the Hamilton, Ontario Water Employees Association ratification of collective agreement citywide, ratify the agreement and maintain the confidentiality of the report. Spatafora, Huang, any discussion? All those in favor, electronic vote? Carried 13 to 3, 6, 9, 12. 12. Zip. Okay, thank you. Carried. Moves us to bylaws. You're back to you, Councillor Kretsch. May I have a motion on the bills? Bylaw bills, please.
You can have it, Councillor McMeekin, and seconded by Councillor Maureen Wilson. It's all yours.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it. Okay, any discussion? No? Okay, well, let's vote electronically then. Thumbs up here. That is carried, again, without dissenting vote. Thank you. There being no further business at 12:32, we are adjourned. Thank you all for your patience.